knowledge, a lot of insight, and definitely some inspiration. Before I go any further, I want to take this moment to introduce Ola, and we want to thank him for pulling together this amazing event. Ola is doing some amazing work, but I'm going to let him talk first, and then I'm going to back what Brother Ola has to say. But Ola, thank you so much for bringing us all together. You definitely have a gift of connecting and bringing people together, creating great networks. So we want to thank you, and I want you to give us your introduction and share more about who you are and the great work that you do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Uncle Mike. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for wherever you're joining us today in this room on this call. I am Ola Akinwe, founder Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network. I live in Nigeria, Africa. Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network is one of Nigeria's leading non-governmental organizations established to guide boys and adolescent males on their journey to a healthy, caring, respectful, and responsible manhood. The mission of our organization is simple, is to cultivate boys to stand out by standing up, equip boys to be excellent and non-violent communicators, teach boys ethical literacy, and train them to learn their own self-worth. Because that's what we see. The self-worth is what we see that is more paramount to understand. And that is what led us to this global discourse on boys' future, boys' journey. It's a discussion that brings together individuals, organizations, stakeholders who are working positively to ensure that our boys become young men who are good husbands, humanitarians, and great fathers. So today we are looking at this topic that is dear to my heart, which is positive, cultivating positive and healthy behaviors in boys. You all agree with me that when it comes to overall behavioral problems, boys are mainly at risk. And the summary of the outcome of our life begins from the kind of behavior we acquire while growing up. So we want to look at the behavioral guidance, prevention, intervention, strategies and techniques that will lead to positive outcomes or life outcomes for our boys. And what I mean by that is that how do we get the satisfactory life outcome from these young men? So we have been working with the boys since 2017, and we have several projects here in Africa. Some of our projects include the literacy project because our aim is to ensure that boys are behind in the literacy skills acquisition. So we are working to ensure that a lot of boys in Africa benefit from our free literacy courses. And we have the Being a Man program. This is mainly for developing young men into great and responsible adult male, like I said earlier. We have the Solve Try program. It's a community project that focuses on using mathematics to develop young girls and boys here in terms of having them to be able to pursue career in artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, and data science and all of that because right here in Africa, a lot of these young boys are lacking behind in that career discipline. We also have the life support that will support parents of boys and girls for low income families to keep their word in school. So more of this Uncle Mike could share has been part of what we do. He has been so great supporting us. And but the boys feel for the challenges while we're here today. So I want to welcome you from all the different parts of the world to join us today. And I look forward to a learning experience and enjoying your stay together. And I do believe that we are the role models that will give to our young men to become great men of tomorrow. And I want to thank you for being part of it.
Thank you, Ola. Ola is very humble. He is working tirelessly, pouring into the lives of young men. And I've had the opportunity and the blessing to actually raise funds because, we can't do this without funds. We need money, right? And I have a 2 minute video clip that you'll see my passion and my commitment to B Man and the amazing work that they're doing. It's just 2 minutes, so if I can indulge your patience, I'll just share my screen, and then we're going to go right into our first speaker, Brother Wallace, the roles of early childhood and pre-adolescent education in cultivating positive and healthy behavior in boys. So that's a powerful, that's a mouthful. And what an honor that we can actually make an impact in the lives of the young boys, our future. So I just want to play this 2 minute video clip of me promoting B Man, and then we're going to go right to Brother Wallace.
I am shining. I am smart.
That you have the best teachers. You have the best teachers in Nigeria. You know that? So keep learning and keep working hard. All right? I love you all. Big hug. Big hug to all of you. God bless. Hi, this is Uncle Mike. I am here raising money for my friend Ola in Nigeria, who's doing an incredible job educating young boys. He is supporting, empowering, building up over 150 boys in Nigeria. But due to the pandemic and other personal financial crises, he is in need of funds. So I am looking to you. I am looking to you to donate whatever you can, whether it's $5, $10, $15. No donation is too small. It will be greatly appreciated and be put to good use. So I know I can depend on you. Thanks. Your name is what? Hey, Isaac. Nice to meet you, Isaac. Hey, Isaac. I heard that you're very smart. So I just had to share that with you. That's just a tidbit of the incredible work that Brother Ola is doing in Nigeria. And I've had many opportunities to interact with young people there, and they're like sponges. And that's why this conference, this panel of this discussion we're having is so important, that we can give these sponges that what they get will empower them for the future. So, Brother Wallace, it's yours. Thank you.
I don't know what I did to deserve following that, Uncle Mike. My goodness, I would have preferred to go after him. I'm kidding. That's a great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Definitely coming to you from North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, in the United States. I'm so glad to be amongst such greatness. Seems like the collective efficacy of this group that's assembled here is just bespeaks an ability to reach international feats. Okay, and I just want to say how honored I am to be amongst you today. I'm going to start off with the true collaboration between the true. I always tell everyone, sometimes it truly takes a village to rear a child, but every child is one carrying adult away from success, and that stems from the elementary levels of academia. The school serves a serious stake in a child's trajectory to success in life. And the true collaboration between parents and teachers is essential. A lot of times, us as educators, we see some maladaptive behaviors, and on the flip side, some good behaviors in some of the students and young boys. But it is up to us to collaborate and work as a team to make sure that we pour into the vessel of that young child, so that they know right from wrong, and then they make positive and good decisions. One thing that we experience here in America is that, and as I saw all the little babies on the screen during the feature that you just showed, students in America, they value education, but they don't value it as they do in Nigeria, or they do in the UK, or they do in India, or they do in abroad. It's a constant here. I mean, you're expected to go to school, and it's always been there. And that's not to be said in other countries. So the value of education is a little bit different here in America. So we have to work a little bit harder in regards to getting the children to do their work and to complete assignments and to meet expectations. So I definitely salute Ola, and I saw those little babies on the screen. I was just touched by seeing that they're there, they want to be there, they're eager, and they're hungry, and they're passionate for that knowledge and that education. But with a little bit of science, I'm going to tell you that us as educators, sometimes we look at the development of young boys, and we sometimes forget that the prefrontal cortex of the brain does not fully form until you're 25 years old. So sometimes we expect, early pre-adolescence and adolescence and on to high school, we expect them to function as adults, but y'all, they don't even have the anatomical ability to be able to control their impulsivity, because that's what the prefrontal cortex does. Behavior, not just in children, but in us humans, behavior is derived from external expectation, interactions with peers and external stimuli, experiences that you get from those interactions, and then last but not least, the consequences of your actions. Actions are geared towards self-fulfillment. We all know that as a kid, if we're hungry, we're going to go look for some food so we can eat. If we're thirsty, we're going to look for water. If you don't get the attention that you desire at home, you look for it outside of the home. You go to school, or you look for it through your friends. But a lot of adolescents and young children, they know the line. I mean, if you've done a good job building parameters and building the rules, whether you're at school or at home, you know the parameters. But children, we all know, want all the freedom in the world with zero responsibility. That's what children want. They don't want to be responsible for their actions. They want you to be able to let them, I want to stay out late. Okay, stay out late, but you're responsible for what you do. And then they get in trouble and they come back, oh, it wasn't my fault. That's children. Heck, some of us adults do that today. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I should talk about children. But they know the line. And that relationship is key. Children that you don't have a relationship with will cross the line, okay, because of a lack of respect for the adult figure or a lack of respect for the environment. But if you have a great relationship and a positive relationship with that child, remember, one carrying an adult away from success, then the children will usually go all the way up to the line, but they won't cross it because they respect you enough to definitely adhere to the rules that you have set. It's a weird motivating factor in children, is what we found out with the research that I've done once I agreed to serve on this panel. In elementary, it's funny. Children, until you get grown, you usually motivated by something else, an external factor. In elementary, it's usually your parents, your teachers, or adults. Y'all didn't notice when you let children go out and play and they're outside when they're young, up to about 6th grade, 5th grade, they want to be around adults. They're on the porch with you, or they're in the house with you. They're watching you. They're mimicking cooking. They want to be like you. You're the motivating factor until they get about 11, 10 or 11. something funny happens in middle school. I joke with Uncle Mike. I said, boy, I had my daughter at a very young age, and I had a little girl. I can go out and I can eat lunch with her at school. She wanted me, yeah, Dad, come eat with me. Yeah, sit with my friends, you know. But I went out and I noticed something. I went out at 7th grade, still thinking I still had that little baby in the 6th grade. But my child looked at me like, what are you doing? And her friends was like, what is he doing here? You know, so it was one of those things where, okay, now the daddy, she doesn't need me anymore. She finds self-fulfillment through her friends. So her friends became the motivating factor when she got to middle school. And then when she got out of high school, it turned back that she understood that daddy did what he needed to do to make sure she was successful. So she reciprocated then. But I missed that whole block of time of her life because it was her friends. When you become an adult, then again, like I said before, you kind of turn things around for yourself. You got to take care of your family. Now you have to pay bills. You have to do things. You have to do that. So now the motivating factor is self-sustaining and making sure you're taking care of yourself. It's one thing that I'll say before I pass it on back over to Uncle Mike. We have to think of things like this when it comes to education. And I've been crisscrossing the country trying to get people to understand that we're judged in America based on our testing, okay? Our children are labeled based on an integrated assessment score that they get. They're labeled all the way until they take another test. But what America has failed to realize that we have not changed education with the times that we're currently in. Okay, in America, we have to take a test, and our children are required to sit at a desk for 4 hours straight. They have 3 15-minute breaks, but they're expected to stay there for 4 hours and complete the test. And then we judge them on the content and their progress on the content of the test. No one's talking about test stamina. Where at in a child's life do we require them to sit still for 4 hours to take a test, or to sit still, period, for 4 hours in their life? You don't do it at church. You don't do it at court. You don't do it on the playground. There's nowhere else that a child is asked to sit for 4 hours, okay, and take an exam. So in order to get them to sit for that 4 hours is to cover the tenets that I just reviewed. You have to build that relationship. They're not going to do it for themselves, but they'll do it for the teacher. They'll do it for a brand of the school, like for competition based, like you're trying to beat the school next to you. You can facilitate, manipulate them to do it for a prize if you want. But the relationship is key. And I think Ola said it in his opening. The relationship is key. All the tenets that I covered, the biggest umbrella that I will tell you is the relationship piece will fortify those positive behaviors in young boys. Last but not least, I will give you these 3 tidbits. I call it 3 M's, okay? The 3 M's. As we guide these young boys to be self-actualized and to perform at their personal best, whether it be in education or whatsoever, we must magnify their efforts. Everybody in this world, who doesn't like an acknowledgement, okay? Who doesn't like an accolade? Who doesn't like a pat on the back? All right, be intentional when you're doing that. Magnify their efforts as they're going through their trajectory of a successful life. Then we must, as the adults, maximize the investment that they have made in themselves and that we have made into them. Okay, as we rear up children, that's an investment, y'all. I don't understand. I know we get so caught up in parenting. That's an investment we're making in that child. And we're investing so that when they get out of school, we'll get a return on that investment when they go out and they start contributing to the world. Last but not least, we need to multiply the talents that they bring to the table. I don't say at-risk children. You would never hear Tabari Wallace say at-risk because you're labeling a child. All right, they're giving you the best that they got, and then you're going to say they're at risk of failure. What I say is at potential. That's what every child that we have that's under our purview is at potential. Multiply their talents, okay, so they can be greater from which they came. Whether that talent that they bring to the table is academics, whether it's in school, whether it's on the athletic field, if they're a great football player or basketball player, do what you need to do to get them in those endeavors so their talents can shine. So again, they can get back to that key word that I started out with, self-fulfillment. Some may be artistic. They can draw. They can play an instrument. They're good with their hands. They're great at engineering. Okay, put them in those activities so they can grow in those activities and things that they are confident in. Okay, so they can have that self-fulfillment. That's that return on investment that you have made, and watch that little boy flourish once they get to be an adult and that prefrontal cortex closes and then they can begin to think, problem solve like we do here today. Mike, over to you, Uncle Mike. Oh.
Wow, Brother Wallace. I mean, you hit the ball out of the park. What a wealth of information. We thank you. We thank you for your dedication. We thank you for your powerful insight. And, you know, years ago, I can remember so well, I was working with children at the group home, and I had a child that was hurting, and I didn't know what to do. And the therapist said, relationship is the key.
That's the key.
Relationship is the key. If you could develop a relationship with that child, you could steer it in the direction that he needs to go. And you covered that expectation, to have realistic expectation. That's so important, because when we don't have that, that breaks down the relationship. So thanks so much for the powerful insight that you gave us this morning. We appreciate you.
You're very welcome, Uncle Mike.
So we're going to move right along, and then if anyone, we're going to give you 2 minutes. If anyone wants to chime in on a comment, just 2 minutes, because our next speaker is anxiously waiting to share. Okay, so we're going to go to our next speaker. We have Brother Austin. If you would introduce yourself and the organization you represent, and you could share your knowledge with us, which we thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Brother Michael. I'm Cletus Austin from St. Lucia, and I represent Men Beneath the Cross of Jesus. And our aim is to reach out to, young boys who are experiencing fatherlessness in their lives. And of course, you know that fathers are very important in the lives of young boys. And without fathers, you can see that, the moral fabric of boys are deteriorating. So we want to bridge the gap, and basically that's what we are aiming for. So thank you very much. So greetings to everyone. I bid you a special morning, good afternoon, good evening. And of course, I would like to take this opportunity to, on behalf of Men Beneath the Cross, to thank the organizers of this excellent initiative. We have Mr. Ola and of course, Mr. Michael, the founder of Boys Minister and Advocacy Network in Nigeria, and his team. So thank you once again. Of course, it's indeed a privilege for me to be here in my humble capacity, and of course, as an advocate of the Heavenly Father, our Creator, to share some insight on how we can cultivate positive and healthy behaviors in boys by demonstrating desired parental attributes. We would agree that ordinarily it is not always possible to influence individuals or our children to behave in the manner that we would like them to behave. Why? Because there are other factors that can and will impact and influence their behaviors. So having recognized that individuals can be influenced by other factors, it is important that we as parents do our part to instill positive attributes in our children, especially our boys. So let's not leave it up to society. And I stress, let us not allow society, we have the social media, their peers, gangs, to influence our sons' behaviors. For we have realized the ramification and negative impact that those factors can trigger in their lives. Today, I would like to encourage us under my title, A Move in the Right Direction, to take the necessary steps to improve our parental attributes to foster positive and healthy behaviors in our boys. We all have the responsibility to improve our parental abilities and capabilities through experience and wisdom, guided by the inspiration of the Almighty and perfect Father. As such, it is important that we reflect on our current behaviors towards our children, our sons, and to make amends where necessary to align our modus operandi, this is a police term, or the way of doing things which will align with the will of the Heavenly Father. To God be praise. So, and as we reflect on what is parenting, we would like to basically demonstrate 4 attributes that is necessary to be an effective parent. We know parenting is basically the process of promoting and supporting the physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual development of the child from infancy to adulthood to enable them to make a positive contribution to society. And we have the Britannica Dictionary defining parenting as the process of taking care of children until they are old enough to take care of themselves. How well our boys take care of themselves will be determined by how well we prepare them to do so. And hence, we need to know, firstly, the absolute truth on how to be effective or how to be an effective parent before we adopt the desired attributes to foster promising behaviors in our boys. Secondly, we need to be active in our children's life. And of course, this was demonstrated by Brother Wallace earlier on, the importance. Thirdly, we need to be compassionate towards our children. And fourthly, we need to be an example. We need to set examples for our children as parents. And as we speak about knowing the truth, there is the truth and there is the absolute truth. Many people are destroyed. That's the word God. Many people are destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. And knowledge being, according to the Oxford Dictionary, facts, information, and skills acquired through experience and education. So as I said, there's a saying that someone's truth is what they believe. And your truth certainly will determine how you respond to situations. So if you believe that what you are doing is the right thing or it's justified, you will keep on doing that thing. If you have been taught that by your forefathers, that disciplining your son requires harsh punishment, that is what you will do. So we need to learn that it entails to be that what it entails to be a good parent. Do not think that you know it all and that it is your child and you can do whatever you please with your child. There is always a right way and a wrong way of doing things. So we need to seek guidance. For instance, the Word of God says in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4, Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And this is knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom is key in life, and becoming an exceptional parent requires us to understand what is expected of us and the impact our interaction with our children can have on them. Honestly, we have taken this for granted. And we need it. So not because it's a norm, it is good. There is a place where parents allow their boys to engage in sexual relationships with animals as a way of preparing them for adulthood. And this is a culture. And to them, this is the truth because that is what has been passed on to them. But is it the right thing to do? So you might say to yourself, what are these people thinking? Well, maybe if you were born in your country, you probably would have been doing the same thing because that's what is been passed on to you. So we must understand that we are social beings and we learn from our surroundings. Our behaviors is significantly shaped by our interactions with people and by the information that we receive and understand. So the Word of God recognizes that the importance of knowledge in our lives. So we refer to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart on it. So we understand the impact that knowledge has on our boys and our children. So we need to train them up, for it will impact the way that they behave even when they get old. So we need to teach them how to pray as parents. We need to teach them how to be thinkers so that they won't be easily influenced by others. We need to teach our sons how to love, and of course, with the guidance stipulated by the Word of God. We need to teach them how to study the Word of God. Information is key. And if you are fed with information that is not in line with God, there's a great tendency where you can find yourself in serious problems. So we as parents, the responsibility is for us to direct our children to learn about the great creator. And of course, we need to teach them how to uplift him, spiritual upliftment, worshiping our God. It's important that we do those things as parents. Secondly, we need to be active in the lives of our children. And one of the most important things that you can do for your son is to be there for him, especially during his big moments or achievements. Milestones are important to all children, and as parents, being actively involved in your boy's life will not only reinforce positive behaviors but strengthen your relationship with your son. In being actively involved in your son's life, it gives you an opportunity to help him identify his passions and his talents, as he may not necessarily recognize where he has talents. And as you have heard by Brother Wallace, I mean, children as they develop their frontal cortex are not fully developed. So, their cognitive processes are not at the level as adults. So we have to direct them. So in being actively involved in our boys' life, as I said, it gives us the opportunity to help them identify their passions and talents. And of course, create a great synergy and relationship between the boys and the fathers, that the boys are able to trust you and draw closer to you so that you can have even a better impact upon their lives. So we need to also help them communicate. And in this era, we know the issue with social media. Many persons, they spend a lot of time on social media, viewing pictures and all those kind of things. And they do not interact with each other. And that can pose a problem. Even, when they go out there and they're seeking a job, their ability to communicate, to bring out things, it all, the practice, this destroys their ability. Spending too much time with gadgets and devices. So we as parents, we need to guide our children. We need to communicate with them constantly so that we can develop the ability to communicate. Not and of course we know communication is paramount. Probably they might be experiencing problems in their lives and they are not able to come out and express it to you the way they're supposed to. So this creates a big gap and it creates an opportunity where their lives can of course be a lot more difficult and it can contribute to the deterioration of society. So we need to be very mindful of this as parents. Of course, and we know there are different parenting styles that we can adopt. We need to be careful because there are parents that basically demonstrate various parenting styles that they are not even aware of. And we need to educate ourselves on the various parenting styles that we can basically demonstrate towards our child. And we know we have the authoritarian, the authoritative, the permissive, and the neglectful parenting style. And with authoritarian parenting style, we have parents basically they are the bosses of their children. They would put rules, and their children must abide with the rules. They are very strict, and this basically causes a lot of problems. Children become fearful of their parents, and it creates a gap that they are unable to interact the way they're supposed to with their parents. We have the authoritative, where parents set rules and guidelines, but they understand the children. They understand that children will make mistakes. So it's true that they would set the pattern, they would give instructions as to what they expect their children to do, but they will create an avenue for the children to make mistakes. There's the permissive parenting style where parents will just allow their children to do whatever they please. And we see the negative impact that this has had on children. Children can do whatever they do. They will disrespect their parents. They feel that they can go out whatever time and return whatever time. And it exposes them to a lot of danger. And some of these parents, probably there are different reasons why they allow it. Probably they are too busy in other things or they just do not care. So it's important that we do not express this kind of parental style, mode of parenting our children. And of course, there's the neglectful. Those parents, they do not care. Those parents are engaged in probably drug abuse and a lot of other things, and they neglect their children. They allow their children to be molded by other factors, whether it's gangs, whether it's their peers, and we can see the negative impact that those things can have on our children. So we need to be very careful as parents as it pertains to our parenting styles. And thirdly, we need to be compassionate towards our boys. Boys do require support, they require forgiveness, they require love. And if they do not get it from you, they will get it somewhere else. And the doors may open where they can be taken advantage of. Our boys are emotional, just as our girls, and require some attention. So some parents, especially fathers, believe that they should raise their boys to be tough and do not express emotions. They would put extreme pressure on their boys. This attitude will cause you to lose the confidence of your child. I was a victim, and of course, in my early years of parenthood, I was a little too strict on my son, and I saw the negative impact that it had on him. So I had to make amends. I had to correct myself. And of course, I mean, this behavior, I would say, stemmed from how my father treated me when I was young. But in the advent of increasing my knowledge, I realized there was something wrong about it, and I made the adjustment. And of course, things are a lot better with me, between me and my son. So it's important. It's important for us. And I just want to refer to the word of God in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6. It says, "For whom the Lord loves, he chastens, and scourgeth every son whom he receives." So as parents, we know that we will get situations where we have to correct our children, but we have to do it with love, not because we hate them. We do not want to destroy them. We want to steer them in the right direction, and we need to be careful. Beating them, you know, badly will not help them in understanding why you're correcting them. It might just create a gap between you and the child. So you need to know how different ways of correcting your child instead of using public corporal punishment or other means that are extreme. And lastly, we as parents, we need to set an example for our children. As parents, we need to be a role model for our children. We need to practice what we preach. We find many parents, they preach one thing and they do something else. And children, of course, they will be more inclined to do what they see that the parents do. So we need to be careful. When we want our children to do good things, we need to be able to set the examples for them. Do it right. Amen. So,
Amen.
thank you, and this is my input.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you.
So much valuable information. We really thank you, Brother Austin, for that incredible presentation. So much information. And one point that I love so much that you are so vulnerable and so honest with us. I think that's something we can all go away with. How can we improve? How can we improve? There's always something we can learn to be more effective as parents and caregivers. And that whole thing of being active, showing compassion, setting the example, these are important things that we need to be reminded of. So we thank you so much for that very powerful presentation. And we have a question in the chat room. Will there be time for other speakers? We definitely want to allow that to happen. What I'm going to do is if I put a heart up on the screen, that means that it's time for you to wind down and hold your points. We want to keep to the 10 minutes as much as possible, but Brother Austin, you are so powerful, I didn't want to stop you. I mean, every bit of information that you're sharing, we definitely needed to hear. Thank you so much. Brother Sean, are you on the call? You're our next presenter. All right. Brother Sean? Okay, if not, maybe Brother Sean will come on later. Brother MC?
It's Sister MC, right?
Okay, wonderful.
Sure.
Thank you. You're our next presenter. Right. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Just a quick, I'm a dancer, artist, folk celebrity also. I just need like 30 seconds. Guys, can you try to do just like this? Slowly. Then change on the other side like this. Then put more energy. Wow, that's nice. Then come back here. Everybody say, hoo-ha!
Hoo-ha!
No, I can't hear you guys. Hoo-ha!
Hoo-ha!
Hoo-ha! That's what's up. All right, so I was just trying to be, see everybody so energetic, with positive vibes. I really thank all of you who have really attended here. Much respect to Brother Ora, and even also much respect to Brother Ismail Sweet, straight out from US, who really connected me to him. And even also shout out to my sister, my friend Jamie. She's even also live straight out from USA, NY. We have been doing beautiful and powerful work all over the world. And shout out to everybody here. I'm seeing young people, I'm seeing adults, I'm seeing elders. Ah, I love this energy. So, talking about, I've noted some small points here, talking about cultivating positive and healthy behaviors in boys. I personally, all of you, like I introduced myself, my name is Waswa Peter Sean, aka Sisa MC Muchocho, the director of Go to Build Uganda organization based in East Africa, Uganda. We have been using the power of hip hop culture. And most of you, I know that you know hip hop is not a new thing because we are using hip hop with its element in order to be reaching out to the young ones and even also the youth. So I'm having 7 years almost experience with my organization, and I am an artist, and I'm doing MCing as an element in hip hop. I'm also doing breaking as dance as also an element in hip hop. I am a philosopher. I'm saying someone is but I am a philosopher. And also I am a blessed son from God. I also know that I'm very so lucky on this world, and a student, and I'm always looking forward to learn new things. I'm a farmer with a green hand. I really do a lot of different things because I am an artist, because we as an artist, we are surrounded with creativity all the time. We always, come up with different things. So starting kicking on to the point, I personally have been running this organization of my DTBU, and I'm using percussion and also dance as a tool to reach out to the young ones in the communities of East Africa. And we are having heartbeat called the Fresh Ones, and we have been helping out the children how we can help them to learn more about our culture. We as peoples, we really have different cultures. Like for me, I personally go to Build Uganda, we are using percussion and also dance. I really found out dance is not just, or percussion is not just like having fun, or just, yeah, we're gonna dance, we're gonna, drum, some percussion, and we feel, yeah, everything is fine. But I really found out it's very so important and useful to children's. I mostly see found over like boys, because for me I do deal with both the children's, boys and girls. But according to this, I really respect the platform. For the sake of the boys, I always put the boys in percussion so that they can drum. And then the girls, they can dance in the way of for me to teach the children to be doing this percussion and dance is in order to be helping them their mentality or their mental health. It's really helping them their mental health issues. It's really helping them their physical. Like just like when I come up with this thing, just do like this. It's not just like, if you're done doing it, there is some energy you can feel. You don't stay the same. So using the power of dance and even also the power of percussion really helps the children, really helps the boys in order to be strong when they are growing up. And you may find that anything which really helps children to smile, it really helps them to be having a good future. I'm sorry to point this out, but I had our brother. Thank you so much for sharing, brother Hostin. You just clicked something in my mind when you were talking about the children's. And even also some parents. There are some children whereby they grow up without parents. All of us will know that. I personally am a victim. I grew up with no parents. My mother, my father, they died. They passed away. And these are the real things we always sharing. And when we share, like when you share that my mother, my father passed away, some folks they can say, yeah, that's what they say. They don't respect that. So when I can tell you, like Brother Austin, that there are some children whereby they grow up without their parents. In Uganda, is a kingdom. Buganda is a kingdom. We have a proverb says that omwana akuzibwa kyalo. Like to raise a child, it's supposed to be that the entire community, not just like one child, not just like one parent or both two parents. There is a time whereby even the parents, they used to be not there at home when the children they are suffering from, maybe they need something to eat. The neighbor will try to be feeding those children, maybe some of your children. So we always say the child will be raised by the entire community. When I'm talking about the entire community, they are where I personally I comes using dance and also percussion, my art, to be helping out, to be raising that child in a way he or she must be supposed to be raised in. You may find that sometimes the parents they have stress. Even the parents they are like people these days they really have anxiety, they have different emotions they can't control, anger and everything, economy all over the world. So most of the parents, they can come up with those uncontrolled emotions. And then they just abuse, this child abuse to the young ones. So my point is, sometimes there is something Brother Warris said something. He tried to note something here. He said that grow them in activities. I personally, I make these boys to be growing in different activities, games, dance, and also sports. Not only something I know, because we all of us, we are doing different things, but at the end of the day, we can find ourselves, we are on the same thing. Like I personally, I'm a spiritual, I believe in spirituality, I'm a yogist, I'm a meditate, I always meditate. But you can find others they have in the region, like Brother Austin. I really feel your energy. All of us, we are looking God, but in different ways. All of us, we want to see God, we want to meet God in different beliefs. Doesn't mean we need to get off, on whatever we want or whatever we need. So my point is, the parents or the guardians, anybody, even the people who are taking the responsibility in order to raise those boys or to raise those children, they have to be okay mentally. They have to be stable. Because to raise boys, sometimes I personally, let me speak about our African culture. Brother Austin, thank you so much. You shared about that there are some fathers who want to raise their boys to be like bulls, bulls. Hey, you have to be strong. You have to carry this. This is how you have to be. Hey, that way, we are this generation we are in. We are on the generation of knowing things. The generation of children. Children, they knowing everything. That's why you can ask some of the boys or some of the children. You understand what I'm telling you? The child can say, "Yes, Dad, I know everything." You know, me myself, I found some children, they know how to link on smartphones. They know how to crack even your password, even if you don't give them. They're really growing fast and they're really growing wise every day, every microsecond. So we as peoples, or whatever we are parents, whatever we are different, whatever we are, if we are about to be raising these boys, there is something we need to think about and learn even also what we have been learning, or unlearn what we have been taught, that this is the way you have to raise the boys. No, I'm gonna say no, that's not, because you need also to look about the condition plus the situation, even also the generation. Like long ago, to become a man from my kingdom of Uganda, you have to kill a lion. Huh? Brother Wally Green, let me just come up with this. You man to show your parents that, yes, I'm a man. Now I'm going to be having a sweetheart, my girlfriend. They're going to tell you, you go in the jungle and kill that lion and come back with some of them, And oh my God, according to this generation, if you're about to be making good platforms, how we can cultivate positive and healthy, you know, and healthy what and healthy behaviors in boys, we need to also to unlearn, not to disrespect our culture. I know when sometimes it becomes to African peoples, they always believe in everything. we as black peoples, we just go with everything because it's a cult. Sometimes it's good and say, yes, maybe my late ancestor, they killed the lion. Is it possible this generation I can kill the lion? Maybe if I kill it, maybe the system is gonna take me to the prison. Maybe they will cut me in poaching. So the behaviors, even also of our ancestors, I'm not trying to say they are very bad, but we need at least to just to simplify. You know, for me, I'm using art simply, so sweet and easy. If I say, okay, let's go, woo ha ha, they can say woo ha ha. Then and then they can smile, like I can make you to smile. You know what I'm saying? There is some energy inside you, my brother, and also my sister. You can do whatever you can do. There's some gold inside you. To teach a child is not about to be told by this and this. This is what you're supposed to do. There is this lesson in the world people they have not been aware of. Sometimes when we go to school, the school told us what we need to be doing. But when you come to the real world, to the real society, you may see that the things you have been learned from school, maybe somehow they can't help you. I'm not saying that schooling is bad, but schooling is very, very so important. Like for us, we have in our program called Fresh Ones. We are training them the percussion and dance. At the same time, we are taking them to have the mainstream education. So far, we have 10 children, and people they are donating their money. I'm not trying to say like I'm passing through my advert, but I'm trying to speak my experience and what I've really understood. So what we have to do is to see the behaviors of the parents or to see the behaviors of those people who are always with the parents. I personally am the first example of the children. For me, I'm a dreadlock rasta, but I always wear like, something on my head when I'm going to share with the children because I don't want all the children, because I'm a teacher, you know, they blah, even me, I want to become a dreadlock rasta because teacher Sister MC is a dreadlock rasta and he's been teaching us about percussion. So even me as a boy, I'm going to be putting the locks. I'm going to love, no, because I understand, I respect the children. They also have their own life. For me, my part is to do what I have to do in order to help them to be growing up. That's why I come up with to raise children, to raise boys. It is my job. It is your job. It is everybody's job. This is what we are doing right now. We already starting working on it. This conversation, I really respect it and I really love it. I'm going to be concluding. My last thing is which of brother Michael, how long am I having? How many minutes?
You're actually over time, but I love your energy, so you could do your concluding remark.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, so all what I can share is I personally, this is very so important. Some of you are parents, some of you are not parents, but talking about boys, I've just realized that boys, they really grow in a very sad way, like a very, very bad, worst way. These days, if you try to see, there's so many different organizations and programs which are coming up with double child. I personally, speaking the truth, this is my first time to find something like boy child, like something for boys. My point is the way we have been raised, and even also the way we are feeding the boys is not the same the way they are feeding the girls. Like, let me talk about. I know in Nigeria they eat cassava, as in Uganda. Cassava in Uganda, we really take that food as a very strong food with calcium. And the way I'm coming from, they used to feed the girls with soft food and boys with, hard food. My point is, let's all of us try to make the balance. Boys and girls, all of us, we are equal. And I really love to share my thoughts. I'm not trying to say everything I've shared is 100% clear, but some of you can clip something, also you can enlighten me because it's all about sharing. So please and my child, thank you so much. I do send my energy to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing from others.
Brother, we thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your insight. And, I'm just so glad I didn't have to kill a lion to become a man. I would be in trouble. So thank you. It is so important that we give the children the opportunity to move their bodies, to play the drums. It's so important that they get an understanding and get that movement going, get that energy going. It definitely clears their minds and prepare them to receive. So especially boys. I just want to take this moment to once again recognize Brother Ola and just bringing us together and the hard work that he does. Sleepless nights, and he is just full of a whole lot of love and caring for the next generation. Sometimes I have to remind him that he does have to sleep and eat. But I just really appreciate his passion and the work that he's doing in Nigeria with B-Man and just bringing us together this morning. So far, I want to thank all the speakers. My brother just finished concluding, that drama, those drums, that movement is so important for young men to express themselves, to get that movement. And I'm going to keep flying. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Our next speaker, we have Brother Richard, and he's going to present to us a very important topic about family as we continue to talk about positive and healthy, how we can cultivate positive and healthy behavior in our boys. Brother Richard.
Okay. Hello to everyone. Appreciate for inviting me on to share my thoughts on these subjects. Uh, yeah. What am I talking about? I am addressing practical ways to manage boys with unhealthy behaviors. I would be amiss if I didn't start off by highlighting the fact that the family structure is under attack. The brother before me touched on how to raise well-rounded boys, and I thank him for that because it led me into my points neatly. And as I said, straight away we have to highlight the attack that the family structure is coming under, um, and the fact that many people are in one-parent households for many different reasons is a problem, because even though we are dealing with a lot of these issues and we have to make best with the hand that we're dealt, as I said, I would be amiss, and I think we would be amiss as a body if we didn't stress the need for two-parent families, because that is the best way to raise well-rounded individual boys, yeah, who are not beasts and monsters, and they're not too effeminate at the same time. They're a healthy balance. So, I do want to start off by saying that because that is a need. We do need to be promoting healthier relationships, which then in turn lead to healthier parenting situations, which is always going to yield the greatest success in these situations. Um, so definitely, I wanted to start off by saying that and making sure that that point was made. When it comes to our boys, definitely they're under a lot of pressure. Here in the UK, we're facing a lot of gang violence. Resources for the children have been taken away as far as places for them to go, things for them to do. The school system's in a lot of turmoil as well, as far as education and safeguarding issues. So, again, having the thought patterns that the system in some way is going to help or save your children, again, is another thing I have to be clear to say you need to get out of your head. It's something that we as black people and we as parents across the world need to acknowledge, that it's our responsibility. They're our children, and if we first and foremost don't initiate routines and ways of being with our young boys in the home from pre-birth, um, up zero upward, um, we're going to face ongoing problems. One of the things I do now is I'm co-founder of organization called Cultural Solutions, where I support older black men in everyday issues, everyday problems. And majority of the time, those issues or problems that those elder black men and men in general face, I find, usually will stem back to the family structure and to those earlier days, because we have to understand the family is where our first experiences and relationships are formed. So if again that structure is damaged, is not handled correctly, straight away we're laying down a foundation for future problems and for future children to come that haven't even arrived yet, because we're stoking the fire for ongoing bad behavioral routines to keep going within our children and our boys especially. um in saying that, when dealing with boys who for various reasons got themselves into various forms of trouble, I usually find that when looking at these boys, first of all, as stated, looking at the home structure is always the first point of call. Who is the support factor and what is their routine? I find on a practical level, and that's where I've been tasked to talk on. From a practical level, most of the time, and I think most parents on the panel will agree that once your kids are idle and they have nothing to do, they'll find something to do. Good, bad, or indifferent, they will find something to do. When I was growing up, one of my favorite statements was, "I'm bored." My mum was always happy to say to me, "I can find you something to do if you want," which I would promptly go and find myself something worthwhile to do that would keep me out of trouble rather than let her dictate to me what I would do. Um, I was lucky to come from a two-parent family. My mum and dad are still together many years on, which I think is again a rarity, where most people didn't have that and maybe only have the attention of one parent, which again puts a strain on having a consistent routine all the time, which I think is key to dealing with children, and dealing with boys, especially who have already found themselves in bad situations, or in this case, groomed bad habits to begin with. So I find the routine always is necessary to look at straight away. Time management is key. I myself are a single parent. Um, I got two boys. I homeschool my 14-year-old. He's he's social, very social, very talkative, knows everybody, um, and again needs time management, because if left to his own devices, he'll end up anywhere with anyone doing anything. And this is the key problem. I think this is one of the foundations to children today. And because we're in a society where now we're being pressed financially a lot more as parents, so work, other situations, therefore, take up our time. So therefore allow us less time with our children, the routine tends to go awry, which again, on the surface, sometimes doesn't seem as bad, because a lot of the times our kids can be occupied by multiple technological devices and the television and other situations. So it may seem easier to have your children managed, or to seem like they're okay in the moment. But what you tend to find is, with no proper routine, as I said, energy, and that's not just actions, this is thoughts as well. Attitudes tend to fester a lot easier. So again, directional time management is one of the key elements, I would say, in managing. Again, appealing to, because some of the brothers on here already have talked about the importance of education. I'm definitely one for reading and for knowledge. I'm always talking to my sons about knowing stuff, but I want to highlight, if the audience can see, I got a little picture of a T-shirt. of the brain, and one side analytical, other side is creative. And again, understanding that our boys, especially our black boys, are highly creative, and the way they need to express themselves many times is not always going to be in the classroom setting that the westernized world has us set in. So understanding how to best get results academically from our kids and from our boys is a necessary thing, because I think understanding that our boys learn in different ways, sometimes not always visually, sometimes audibly, you know doesn't always have to be written. There's multiple ways, so exploring these things with our boys and getting to their creative juices, however that looks, whatever that looks like, is always key. I would say this as well when we're talking about bad behaviors. And again, this is talking to the parents who have the children who may have, been misbehaving or whatever. It's important to be honest as parents. A lot of the time, our kids, well, let me be clear. Our kids are not blank canvases. They came from us. They didn't drop from the sky. They came from us. So a lot of the time, traits, behaviors that are being exhibited by our boys, if possible, because again, we know this situation is testy and not all families are intact and not all boys have a chance to talk to their dads or their mothers as such. But if possible, if the parents are there, it's good to be honest with your kids and remember how you was when you was young. Because a lot of the time, before we get to some crazy delinquent, off the rails situation, most of the behaviors that we see that we deem bad or annoying, or disruptive, are usually traits that we ourselves as the parents exhibited in spades long ago. You get me? Long ago. Um, so
I was, going back anyway.
so you meet their mic there. Yeah. So I find honest, open conversations about who you was as a youngster with your children definitely is a key and simplistic way to negating negative behaviors in our boys. Because a lot of the time, if we talk to them in our adult selves, we tend to isolate our kids a lot of the time, because obviously as an adult we know how to behave, we know how to think, we know what's right and wrong. We've seen down the future now, so down the line, so we know what's to come if certain behaviors are pursued. We may have even again done that already and suffered for it, hence why we don't want our kids to go that way. But I think sometimes we don't realize how powerful a lesson it is with just imparting those same life lessons that we ourselves went through, especially as fathers, to our sons, in order to keep them on the straight and narrow, rather than the authoritative way of dealing with them all the time, which is just do as I say, rather than considering what I did as a younger man as opposed to me as an adult, and then drawing the simile between you and your son and talking to them better. Thanks for listening. Appreciated. That's me. Hope I'll come back in a bit later.
Brother Richard, thank you so much for sharing. Such a powerful presentation, so much wisdom, so much insight that we can gain from. I just hope, Brother Ola, actually maybe write up like a bullet list of all these wonderful practical advice that we're receiving and send out to all the participants that put their email address. Hope you're keeping notes. I know I'm keeping notes. And just like Brother Richard said, the family is definitely under attack. And that's why it's great that we can have these conversations. We can remind each other, we can inform each other, we can encourage each other to keep doing what we're doing, because the family is definitely under attack. And I just love, Brother Richard, how you shared, if they're idle, they're going to find something to do. So it's our responsibility to tap into their creativity, tap into their mind that is just full of greatness, and give them opportunities to be who they really are. And that's by having relationship with them. So thank you for all the practical insight that you gave us. We appreciate you. We're ready to go to Dr. Sophie. Dr. Sophie, you're next. We look forward to hear what you have to share with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's not doctor as yet.
Well, we're
Hopefully
putting it on you.
working towards.
We pronounce it on you.
I'm
You
receiving
receive it.
that. I'm receiving that. All right.
Yes.
And please put that heart up when I'm 1 minute to my time.
Okay.
I will appreciate that. I'm really just so thankful and blessed for the opportunity to be sharing. Well, this morning for me, afternoon for lots of persons, and maybe night in other places. As I said before, I am a pastor. I pastor the Church of God of Prophecy, Ebenezer Tabernacle in Kingston, Jamaica. And I also work as an associate psychologist in the child and adolescent mental health services in one of our parishes in Jamaica. I'm also a part of the Men Beneath the Cross of Jesus organization. So I'm really blessed to be here. I'm really looking at cultivating positive behaviors in our boys from the perspective of what the society should be doing, what the society can do to assist our boys to have these positive behaviors and also positive experiences. I want to lay a foundation in terms of from a psychological perspective. You know, Abraham Maslow came up with his hierarchy of needs, and you know he had this tier formation, um, and the base of that is making sure that person's their physiological needs are met. So you're talking about their food and their water and so forth, and then on that their sense of safety, right? They must have that sense of safety, physical safety, psychological safety, emotional safety. And then we move now to love and belonging. You know, they need to feel loved, or boys need to feel loved, and they need to feel like they belong. A lot of times when I meet boys, adolescent boys, in the counseling room, you know, one of the things is that they don't feel like they belong in this family. They don't feel like they are wanted, and many times it leads them to want to commit suicide, right? And then, of course, on top of that, we're looking at self esteem, building up their self esteem, you know, letting them know that they're great, they're truly great. You know, I always say to my parents, you know, listen, to the world, your child may not be the handsomest boy, but to you, as far as you're concerned, he's the most handsome boy in the entire world, right? And so, as parents, it is your responsibility to ensure that you're building up their esteem. And then from there, now, we're going to self actualization, which is basically helping them to fulfill their full potential, right? That's what we want to help them to do. Now, the truth is that many times the parents alone cannot do all of this, right? And many of our presenters have alluded to the deficiencies sometimes. Okay, the previous presenter talked about the fact that, you know, the ideal is really a two-parent family, but sometimes we don't have the ideal and it's just one parent. And so there's a gap that's going to be created, right? Many times we have maybe even two parents in the home, but it's still a dysfunctional parenting situation, right? And so there is a gap. And the truth is, when there is this gap, we need for the village to raise the child. Several of our presenters have mentioned about the village raising the child. And it's so important that that continues to happen. And what I find is that persons believe that that is no longer happening. That's actually not true. The village is still raising the child. It's just that it may not be done in a positive way, right? The society is really impacting our boys in many negative instances. Now, I want to also look at another factor in terms of our children do not grow up in a vacuum. They actually grow up in a set of systems. So we have, for example, one theorist talk about the microsystem, which is the family, the intimate families, teachers, siblings, peers, they're in that microsystem and they're impacting on the boys. But then outside of that, you're going to have what we call the exosystem. So you have the extended family, right? You have the workplace of the parents that is impacting, right? You have the neighborhood, and a very key thing that a lot of our presenters have spoken about, the mass media, right? And all of these systems are impacting our boys. And then the macro system, which is your culture, your laws, your economic systems. Now, when all of these systems come together, they're going to shape our boys. If the economic conditions in our country is not good, it's going to have an impact on our boys. It's going to cause families, for example, to send the boys out to try and earn a living at an age when they're actually supposed to be protected, right? Um, and the mass media, what are the messages that the mass media is sending to our boys? And not just the mass media, but our society in general. What are some of the messages that our boys are hearing? So, for example, they're hearing that men should be confident and in control at all times. And a man who does not fight back is considered to be weak. So you have to defend yourself. You have to show them that you must get respect and nobody can come and disrespect you. You have to fight back. And so we find this aggression in our boys. We're told that our boys, the message is that big boys don't cry. Boys don't cry. You don't show those tears and those emotions. So essentially, we have shut down the emotions of our boys. And then at the same time, when they become men, us ladies, we want a caring man. We want a man that is going to be attentive to us. But their emotions were shut down because we told them that you don't cry and you don't show those kinds of emotions. We say to our boys that you must not be talkative and you must not be expressive because that's a girl trait. Girls talk a lot. Women have 10,000 words and men only have 1,000 words, right? And so when we have a boy that's expressive or talkative, we want to label that boy as possibly being a homosexual, right? And so our boys have shut down that ability, that language ability in many instances, right? We have said to them the message of society is that a real man is successful with the ladies, and a real man does not satisfy with just one woman. No, a real man has to have many women. And I know that there are cultures that allow for polygamy, and I'm not gonna get into that arena, but I'm going to say that the society says a real man has a lot of girls, and that is something that is championed. And then society also says that a real man is successful financially. You have to have a lot of money. And what we have seen, I'm going to use American culture for example. The NBA, I watched a program, and the NBA stars, they were saying that, sometimes when they go to hotels, the amount of ladies that are at the hotel waiting for them. You understand? And so the culture says, as a man, you need to have a lot of money. And what we find is that we sometimes our boys are driven to engage in certain activities that are not necessarily legal, right? In Jamaica, we have a scamming culture, where persons are scammed out of their money because our boys want to be successful at a very young age, and we have not taught them about the value of hard work and working, having gainful employment, and so they veer off into various things. So I'm going to close with this. What can we do as a society? First of all, we need to help our boys to value character development and integrity, right? I think that, thank you, I think that that is what's going to help them to remain stable. So even though this activity is not going to bring me a lot of money, it is something that is full of character and integrity. All right. We need to change the messages on social media, in our culture, that, the ones that I listed before, that is how a man should be, right? And we need to make a connection between morality and legality, right? We cannot be not teaching our boys moral standards, so they're not learning it, but at the same time, when they don't do what is right, we lock them away in prison. So there has to be that synergy. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to share.
Wow, thank you so much, Doctor. I definitely will refer to you as Doctor. All right. Powerful, powerful presentation, and so much for us to process, so much for us to meditate on and implement more than anything else. We need to implement, and it's so true. Our boys definitely need to feel loved and that they belong. They need to feel like and that's our responsibility, to create a culture and to create a safe place so that we can cultivate healthy and positive young men so that they can grow up not with a mixed message, and that's what I heard so much in your presentation, that quite often we have a mixed message, this expectation from that, don't cry, don't talk, don't do this, but yet we want this on this side. So it was so powerful. I took a lot of notes, and thank you so much for your presentation. And now we have our next speaker. This has been amazing. Brother Ola, do you want to say anything? I know you might have something to say at this point.
Uncle Mike, I'm having a great feel here. My notes are full and I'm taking more. I think the energy the Wallace started with is being a greater flow. And we can make a book out of this conversation. I think Dr. Sophie, I'll go to Dr. Sophie. We're bringing you back once more.
Beautiful.
We're bringing you back.
Beautiful.
Dr. Edna, yeah. Because you still have a lot to give on this issue and this topic, which we need to explore with you. And that has to do with mothers. Because I saw the area of the mixed messages Okomai just talked about. And you want a caring husband that you have shut down his emotion when he was younger. So we know where we miss it now as young men or as middle-aged men, because at early stages of our life, they killed us emotionally. And at the adult stage of our lives, we want emotional responsibility and possibility from us. So how do we bring that out that we destroyed when we were younger? So I think this will be more of a conversation for mothers and how mothers can help young boys in this area, because in the long run, they're going to be receiving this care, this love. So thank you for that, Dr. Sufi. So maybe this will bring us to our next discussion and we'll bring you back. Thank you, Uncle Mike. Everyone has spoken brilliantly well. I'm enjoying the note. So I think my brother from Nigeria might be the next to speak. I don't know who is next.
Yes. Brother Green?
No, is Onyeka Chukwubelan?
Yes, sir. We're so glad that you've joined us. You're next. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle Mike and Uncle Ola. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go on, brother.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Onyeka Chukwuasadu, or you can call me Bernard Asadu. If you find it difficult to pronounce my name, my name is Onyeka Chukwu Bernard Asadu, and I work here in Enugu Enugu State is in southeastern Nigeria. Um, and I basically I I work with men, young men, young men who are trying to find a path in life. I work with young men in prisons. I also work with young men in rural communities. I have a lot of experience working with young men in rural communities here in southeastern Nigeria and in northern Nigeria. So I've been involved with so many non-profit organizations that are into gender mainstreaming. And I also work with boys. Part of my assignment here is to coach and counsel boys. And I'm very fortunate to also work with their families. I also work with parents of boys, to help them navigate the challenges of raising their sons and helping their sons pass through the phases, from pre-adolescence, to teenagehood to adulthood. Um, and so I'm very passionate about this. I think that's one of the things that brought me here. So thank you very much, Uncle Ola, for the opportunity. So very quickly, my topic is very straightforward and it's very connected to what our doctor, Sophia, has been talking about. And I want to say, Auntie Sophia, thank you very much for laying the foundation for me. Um, so the topic is, or the sub theme is, what are the drivers? What are the drivers of early male behavior? What are the drivers of early male behavior? In other words, what are the things, the factors, the elements, that instigates young men to behave the way they do. So severally, we keep hearing about young men involved in all kinds of things, gangsterism, drug abuse, teenage pregnancy, all kinds of crime. And on the other hand, we also hear about young men who are doing wonderful things. They are getting scholarships all around the world. They are advancing in technology. They're carrying out innovations. So what actually drives them? What drives them? So for me, I'm on the field. So every day I work with boys, and based on my experience, I'm just going to share a few things that I have observed, which has actually driven boys to behave the way they behave. So the first thing for me is that is the environment. The environment, every boy finds himself in an environment. His family, his neighborhood, the church, the church or the religious institution where he finds himself, as a child, relatives, from probably the extended family, like we practice here in Africa, in Nigeria, and the culture. So all these things form the environment of that boy. Okay, so the environment, drives his behavior. The environment also produces the value system that he imbibes. So if he's born into a family where they value honesty or integrity, it affects him. He just finds himself living out those values, those principles. Why? Because while growing up, he saw his father, being a man of integrity, being accountable, being transparent, and it also encourage, it also gives him the courage to stand for moral justice anywhere he finds himself. So I've seen boys of 16, 17 years who would always stand up to their classmates and say, look, this thing we're talking about is not right. It's not right. And you're trying to find out where is this coming from. And when you now dig deep, you find out that in the boy's family, the parents are people that stand for the truth. So you see, so where you expect that a young man should flow with the crowd, the young man is not flowing with the crowd because he has a value system, a strong value system that's made him who he is presently. The next thing I want to talk about um, is parental influence or parental neglect. You can look at it both ways. The truth is that whether we get involved in our children's lives or not, our actions or inactions will affect them. So, parental influence, and I like to go deeper. I'm sorry, but I'm also passionate about this area. I'm passionate about fatherhood. I'm very passionate about fatherhood. So I've also seen the resultant effect or the adverse effect of a father neglecting his son or a father training his son well. I've seen the results from two sides. So parental influence or parental neglect drives a boy's behavior or a man's behavior. It drives his behavior because a parent is actually the primary educator of any child. So in the secondary school or the academy for boys where I work as a as a counselor, we always emphasize it that the parents are the first educators of the children because from age 0 till he's an adolescent, this child spends time at home. He spends time at home. So that period at home, he is under the influence of his parents. So if that boy saw his parents, his father becoming violent, beating the mother, or trying to control, trying to be the man of the house, he will naturally imbibe that. Okay, and that will also drive how he treats women. That will also drive how he treats people around him. That will also drive if he can keep his family together as a married man. That will also drive how he reacts to situations. Okay, so parental influence has a long role to play, a big role to play. Then there's here in my part of the world, particularly in my I'm Igbo by tribe. I'm Igbo by tribe, and Uncle Ola will agree with me too that in Nigeria, it's people really don't take you seriously if you don't show some level of affluence, if you don't show that you are wealthy, you know. And if some of you who are not from Nigeria, I'm sure you are aware of the political that happen is going on. Where money bags are trying to buy their way, and the youth are saying, no, we are tired of bad leadership. We want good leaders. All right. It is also a function um, of these things I've been talking about. So there's this natural drive for success, material success, this drive for achievement. Even like Sophia was talking about, she referred to Abraham Maslow. Under Abraham Maslow's theory of need or hierarchy of needs, you have the need for self-actualization, where beyond making money, you want to be known, you want to be popular, you want to be famous. So you have young men who are driven mostly by that need to make money, to become millionaires, and it leads them into all kinds of things. They go into ritual killings, they go into kidnapping, they become armed robbers, just so that they can get that acclamation, that approval from the public. So because I don't have much time, I will not dwell much on that. But that is a driver of, so we have a lot of young men, teenagers who I work with, and they when they talk about money, you are even afraid. They're tired of school and they just want to make money by any means that's necessary. All right, so it's a driver. Just like Sophia mentioned, one other driver of any male behavior is the media. The media. So, like she said, the message that we get from the media has a struggle. So, I'm going to give an example. I attended university, in the early 2000s. Okay, and before I even got into university, people, here in my environment, there was a lot of gangsterism. What do you call cultism, secret cults, campus cults, and I tried to do some research. Why was it that, or why is it that a lot of young men who were teenagers in that period, I'm talking of 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s, why were they involved in cultism, where a lot of young men were massively recruited into secret cults? The answer is very simple. They were exposed to, Western gangster media. So I'm going to mention a movie, for example, Poetic Justice, in which Tupac Shakur featured. I'm going to mention songs sung by the Notorious B.I.G., Tupac Shakur, where they only talked about killing people, murdering people, sex, rape, and the rest of them. A lot of boys, we are addicted to such media. So it affected the way they started treating people. It affected the way they started dressing. So you have boys dressing in jeans, sagging their trousers because of what they had encountered through the media. And even today, it is very rampant. It's not just about dressing or becoming a gangster. A lot of men, young men in my environment, now get ladies pregnant and they cannot be accountable for it. They want to run away from, from such responsibility. Why? Because some of the stars that are seeing today, some of the those in the entertainment industry, in the music industry, I don't want to mention names. Some of them get ladies pregnant as they like, and they get away with it. So in my environment, I have a lot of young men who get involved because of this desire to prove that they are men. They get involved with different ladies, they get ladies pregnant, and they don't care about it. They don't care, and they call them baby mamas, and they are proud of it, and they show it off even on social media. So media has this very strong role to play on a boy's early behavior, on how he decides to leave the house at the age of 13, 14. He doesn't want to leave the house. Why? He doesn't want to be answerable to the parents anymore. I'm seeing things like that happen every day under my nose. So I'm going to quickly round off um, cultural stereotypes and expectations. In my own part of Africa, I said cultural stereotypes, and expectations. There's so much expectations made of young men in my own society. A lot of expectations are made. So, first of all, once a young man becomes a teenager, people begin to tell him things like, you need to marry early. You have to marry a very beautiful girl. You have to make money. Nobody cares whether the young man has a gift. Maybe he wants to be a teacher, or he wants to be a preacher, or he wants to be a community service. He wants to be a humanitarian. Nobody cares. So in my part of the world, if you are a humanitarian, you are seen as a weak person. If you are a teacher, you are seen as a weak person. You are seen as a poor person. Why? Because society places some demands on every male child. So you see a young boy becoming depressed if he's not making money like his mates are making money. He becomes depressed, and sometimes it drives him into getting involved in capitalism, getting involved in fraudulent things just to make money. The last thing I'm going to talk about, I have something I noted, but I've run out of time. Is pain. Pain. A lot of young men do what they do from a place of pain. I was watching a documentary recently. You can check it up on BBC. They were talking about a particular cult group in Nigeria. I won't mention the name of the cult group, but if you go online, you will see it. It was a very intense, well investigated documentary, and I've been showing it to boys in my environment just to not to scare them, but to put them in check. Now, in some of the interviews carried out in that documentary, a lot of the young men who covered their faces, they are now gangsters. They confess that they joined cultism because they were pained by either the loss of a loved one or by certain things that happened in their environment. So the pain and the grief drove them into doing what they are doing. So they didn't go into what they are doing because they just wanted to go. No, they went into it because they had a place of pain. So they have anybody to listen to them. There was no safe space for them to unbundle their pain, their emotional trauma, and the rest of them. So what I would recommend, in checking that is that if a boy goes through a challenge, you should have someone he can talk to, a counselor, a safe space. So even here in my own community, I have a boys leadership club, and one of the things that we do is that from time to time we have meetings where boys come together to express themselves. They are given that assurance of confidentiality. They have an atmosphere of trust, and they are able to share their pain. Okay, so if a boy's pain is not handled properly, he will end up becoming a menace to society. If a boy's pain is not taken away from him or is not well managed, he will not be able to achieve that which God has asked him to achieve. So it's very important that we take care. Parents should take care to have a good relationship with their children as much as is possible. They should learn to spend time with their children. They should learn to try to understand them. Boys go through different stages. Okay, thank you, sir. Boys go through different stages And they need parents to understand that they are growing. They are growing and they are passing through a phase. And we should be able to allow these boys to have safe spaces where they can express themselves. And at the end of the day, we'll all be good for it, well better for it. So I want to say thank you very much to all of you for listening. I'm sorry for taking the time, but this is how passionate I am about this. God bless you and thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Ben. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
sir.
love your passion.
Thank
We
you.
need more brothers like you. More brothers like you. Thank you for your
Thank you,
passion.
sir.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
insight.
sir.
And like you said, fatherhood is such a very important part. The media
Yes.
is definitely affecting us. Yes, parenting is very important, but
Yes, sir.
we must understand that the media does have an influence on our children.
Exactly.
So we have to
Exactly.
create an environment that
Yeah.
we can influence them. And
Yes.
that's by
Yes,
spending
sir.
time with them, finding a
Yes,
safe
sir.
place. There's just so
Mhm.
wonderful
Yes.
themes just coming up again and again and again.
Thank you.
Did we get to have all our speakers that's on the panel to speak? If we had all of our panelists finished speaking, we're at the point where I would like you to have an opportunity to share a takeaway or any theme that you felt came up over and over again. One theme that I noticed was the importance of community, the importance of a village, and that's something that we all can continually be committed to create a healthy community, a supportive, a compassionate community, so that our young men can thrive. So we're going to open up, the discussion to anyone that would like to make a comment at this point. As we have about 15, 20 minutes. Anyone who stay for the after party, you're welcome.
Okay, I'd like to start.
Okay, and if you could put up your hand so we can invite you, that would help us. Ola, you could go first, and then our next person, please.
We still have one of our speakers who has not made the repetition yet. Wally Green is still there.
Oh, Wally Green is here.
Yeah.
Hey, Brother Wally, you have your 10 minutes, and we're gonna put on the timer for you. When you see that heart, that means we love you, but your time is up. It's all yours.
Hey, I don't think I need so much time. First of all, thank all of you for having me. It's been a really just interesting journey getting here today. But this subject is a subject that is really important. All the things that we're mentioning today, I did not have as a child. I grew up with in a very extremely broken home, abusive stepfather. I was in a gang at 13 years old, 12 to 17, guns at 13. My whole story is documented, but I I didn't have anyone to actually. I had pretty much the opposite. My stepfather used to always tell me that I would wind up dead or in jail. That's where my life was going. This is something I heard every single day of my life. But I was able to change it around through the weird sport of ping pong, a sport I like, which took me around the world. Um, but I think more importantly, especially with boys, I think we need to actually love on our boys. A lot of times, with fathers in general, we want our boys to be hard. We want our boys to be strong. So we don't want to. When I say love on our boys, I mean actually loving your boys. Like kiss your boy, hug your boy. I think the problem with boys is that we only do it with daughters. Like we do it with girls. You have a daughter, and you always see the dads hugging the daughters, kissing the daughters, but we don't see it with boys, right? Because we want our boys to grow up strong. And someone mentioned before about not crying and stuff like that. And I think it's really, really important, more than anything, like to really love on your boy. Like that's my boy. You saw my video coming back and forth giving me kisses and stuff like that. And although I didn't have that growing up, I don't want to continue that circle. So everything that I didn't have, I want to give to my boy. You know, I want my boy to grow up, you know, saying, yeah, my daddy loves me, you know, my daddy cares for me, and things like that. And I think it's just so, I mean, I can't begin to say it enough to all fathers. Like, really love on your boys, man, especially when they're young. It's nothing, you know, a lot of guys think, oh, if I do that, it makes my boy, like, my boy is a girl, makes him soft. It doesn't make the boy soft. It makes the bond between you and your boy strong, right? There's nothing like that bond. So that's one of the things that I think is so important. And then another thing, you know, all children are different. Some people speak about corporal punishment as opposed to not corporal punishment. There is no answer. There really is no answer. It depends on the child. You know, when I was growing up, there was a situation when I was 14 years old. I got arrested in school with a loaded weapon. I was looking at 10 years in jail. 10 years. Now, you know what 10 years is for a juvenile kid to transfer into adult? If that would have happened, my life would have been ruined. It's so hard to come back from going as a juvenile into adult. There's so many important years that you miss. And I got really lucky in the fact that my mom convinced the judge, because I did have good grades, because my two outlets in school, one was my gang and the other one was sports, right? And in order to be on sports, you have to have what? Good grades. If you have bad grades, then you cannot be on a team. And because I had good grades, my mom convinced the judge that they would send me to Africa. So I've been to Africa. So I know how the education system is. I know the disciplinary system there. I spent 2 years in boarding school going there. And that was sort of corporal punishment, right? It's sort of the way the schools work. It's based on that kind of corporal punishment. And for me, right, a lot of people would say, oh, well, corporal punishment is not bad. But in that case, for me, it was good, right? Because I came from a very violent nature. And I needed that corporal punishment. I needed that no way out, right? Because when I was going to boarding school, I didn't have a choice of whether I wanted to learn or not. I had to learn. And if I didn't learn, then there was punishment behind it, right? So for me, that was a good thing because that taught me about respect. When I came back to America, I came back at 16, that taught me respect for elders. Before I went there, I had no respect. I didn't care about anyone at all. So when I went there and experienced this kind of corporal punishment system, I learned from it. You know, I came back more respectful to it. Especially the biggest takeaway is respectful for people that are older than me. So that's what I picked up over there. So in my case, the corporal punishment thing was good, right? Because it forced me to understand that this world is not just about me. There are many components that make this world, and I'm just a part of it. And I have to play my role as an upstanding person in order for the world to grow. So that was really important for me in terms of the corporal punishment. But yeah, I mean, it's tough talking about this. To kind of choke me up a little bit because I grew up in that like that. A lot of kids are going through it, and even more importantly, we need more people that's actually been through it to talk to these kids. This is there's so many people out there that's been through the hell, but they don't come out and talk to these kids. They don't come out and really let these kids know, listen, I've been there. This is what, we need to be very, what's the word I want to use? Very straight with our kids. I think now, these days, we try to sugarcoat stuff. Like when I talk to a lot of schools, I talk to a lot of kids. And when I talk to them, I'm very straightforward. I let them know this is what I've done when I was younger. When I was your age, this is what I've done because they need to know the reality. They need to know the real thing, not the sugar-coated stuff that we give kids today. And having people who's actually been through it and went through it and not waiting till they're like 80 years old to decide to talk. We need to talk to the kids now while we're still young, while the kids can still identify with us. When I go talk to kids, right, kids identify with me because I'm still young, right? And they see themselves in me. You know, when I was going through my craziness, my parents tried to send me, my mom sent me to a psychiatrist, send me to all these people, social worker, all these people, right? They were like, you know, in their 50s or 60s. You know, the first thing I told them, I asked them, I said, hey, have you ever seen a gun before? Have you ever had a gun put in your head? You know what the answer was? The answer was no. And you know what I told them? That I don't need to be talking to you. And this is how kids' minds think. Like, kids need to identify with people. And if they identify with you, then they're more likely to change their mind because they'll say, you know what? Yeah, man, he's been through that craziness. He's done it before. So he definitely knows what he's talking about. And I'm gonna think twice about what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, so those are just a few points. I can talk for everyone else, but those are a few points. But more importantly, love on your boys, please. Love on your boys. Kiss your boy, hug your boy, play with your boy. I mean, there's no such thing as giving your boy too much love. So I just want to leave on that note. Please, love on your boys. It's so important. It's so important. So thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Wow, Wally. Hey.
Thank you, Brother Wally. You know, and what I want to salute you for is changing the narrative. You know, being so vulnerable to share your journey with others and changing the narrative. You know, so many young men feel just because of their past experience, it cannot change. What was done, you know, like we like to say, hurt people hurt, and they feel just because they were hurt, just because they were not cared for, they're going to continue that pattern. But you change the narrative. So we salute you. Thanks so much for sharing. We appreciate your words. Yeah, keep loving on that boy. It's important. I have a grandson, I have a son, and we hug and kiss. It's so important. Yeah, keep loving on him. Yeah, so if anyone wants to share, we have a few minutes, and we realize we want to respect your time, but we are staying here for a bit more. And if anyone want to stay for the after party, you can. But you feel free to raise your hand, and we'll give you an opportunity to share any takeaway or any theme that you saw coming up over and over again in this incredible conversation that we've had today. Anybody would like to share anything? Brother Wallace, you seem like you're moving your lips. Are you talking? No, I wasn't doing anything on the mic. Oh, okay, all right. No. I have something though, boss man. I have. Please. I just wanted to echo the sentiments of the last speaker, Brother Wally, man. He said something there that touched me over here. I'm about hugging your boys. I'm a victim of that. I had a father that was in the Navy for 29 years. So we didn't really get to see him every day until I was going off to college. So I missed it, missed the child rearing. But he hugged me one time in my life. And that's when my grandmother died. That was the first one close that died. And he hugged me. And he went away from here. And I never got to get that affection back from the one I looked up to. So now that translates, like you said today, that cycle of immaturity. Now I think I'm over affectionate with my family, my wife, my nephews or my daughter. Because that being done so young to you, you fight for the rest of your life to feel that void. And sometimes you never feel it. Like I still don't feel fulfilled today. And then the last thing that I'll say is that parenting and raising these boys is the same thing as what I say with a performer versus a leader. A performer is concerned about themselves. When you go to a concert, you don't care what education that performer have. You don't care what they bring to it. You care if they can play that guitar, they can play the drums, or they can rap. That's what you paid your money for. A leader actually voluntarily goes into a situation where you are responsible for all the outcomes and you are responsible for people, but you have limited control. And that's the same thing with parenting. Yeah, you can punish your child, you can beat your child, and this and that. But really, when that child goes out to society, they are their own person. And you are responsible for their behavior until they turn 21. But you have limited control. So the key is never to give up on them, guide them, and rear them up, like the Bible says, is the way they should go, and they will not depart when they get older. And just, again, love your child and continue that relationship.
and hold those high expectations, because they will not cross the line if they value the relationship they have with you. I appreciate all the presenters today, and I thank y'all, Pat.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Walters, you have your hand up?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Mine is just a brief comment. When we talk about the matter of the social media and the mass media, and that is a problem, I am wondering, how can we come up with some strategies to get them on our side? You know, there must be some way to get one or two of them to be saying, because a lot of them, remember, a lot of them had the same problems. A lot of them are men who were experiencing the problems that the men are now, that the boys are now experiencing. And what they are doing is now compounding that problem. So I don't know. I think we need to begin to look at them. I personally am going to see what I can do from my little corner. But I thought it worth mentioning.
Yes, Mr. Walters, that's a great, great question. And I would just like to weigh in on that. I have grandkids, and I noticed that right away they want to get to their iPad, to social media, and I just took them camping. If you get involved with them, let's go for a hike, let's go outside, let's create things. Like our brother said, let's pull out the drums, let's dance. And if we interact with them, they want relationship, you know and it's amazing how we can influence our boys by interacting, like our brother said, loving on them. Quite often, if we're honest, we use social media as a built-in babysitter, as a way to keep them active. So that's just my way in. I'm sure there's others on the panel that might have something else they would like to share, but spend time with them, quality interpersonal time with them. Yes, brother.
Artist talk celebrity. Mr. Michael, how do you feel when you are speaking to artist talk celebrities, MC? How do you feel?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
How do you feel when you are talking to artist talk celebrities, Sister MC? How do you feel?
How do I feel about talking with you?
Mm.
I feel energized. Maybe I'm not getting your question, but
I was just, I'm a man with sense of humor with some, but what I was trying to mean was going back to the other point of a brother worry. I think there must be a bond between either a guardian or a parent or anybody close to that child. There must be a bond, or there must be something make them together. Like these boys or these children, they can feel that love. On the social media, the fact is we can't control everything, because I personally I do take children as the beautiful and powerful creatures of the universe. There is a time whereby you are not going to be controlling your children. Even the system, there is the age limit they can pull. So what I think right now we have to do is to make sure, as long as we still have this time together with them, I think we still have the space to be creating more different things with them in a way of sharing with what we have learned. We are the first suspects. Let me call it that way. We are the first suspect to be destroying or creating our own children. So what I love, I can share with my children, and even if they found out they don't love it, that's not a big deal. I just want to share what I love, and it doesn't mean that I need to limit these children, because me, I was raised as a footballer. I really want to build my children to be like JJ or Kocha, to be a footballer. I'm not gonna be allowed that if they find out they don't want that, they just want to be a dancer or they just want to be a politician. You need to give them their freedom. But the best thing is to be having that bond with them. I think that's the only way you can pass every message, as long as the bond is very so sweet and soft.
Brother, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think it's important that we expose them to different genres and different types of music. One thing that I cannot fall in line with, when I hear music, whatever it is, genre of music is, that's devaluing the woman or does not have value to it, it just doesn't, because it's going into their subconscious mind. And I've heard some lyrics that is just so against, women and is putting women down that it makes me feel uncomfortable. But I totally agree with you. We have to create a bond with them and expose them to what we can expose them to build them up and to pour value into them. Yes, Wally.
Yeah, me, Uncle Michael, you could just say Wally.
Brother Wally first, and then Brother Wallace.
Yeah, so Barry said something really important towards the end of when you just spoke. And it's about valuing the relationship. If your children value the relationship you have with them, then they'll be less susceptible to fall to all the craziness of social media. Like for me, I can't blame social media for anything. At the end of the day, it's something that we just see and we take in. But if you have that value and that love with your children, it doesn't matter what's going on, right? I mean, every day murders happen. Every day people get killed. Every day people steal. It doesn't mean that because that's happening and we see it all the time, that our kids got to go do it, right? And they don't do it because they value the relationship, because we're positive role models in their lives. So, as Tabari said, for me, most important is really the value of the relationship that you have with your boys or your kids in general. If it's a relationship of high value, they can listen to gangster rap every single day and not partake in it, right? If the value of the relationship is very low, then of course they're going to be more susceptible to find love or find something else and something negative like that. So, like Tawari said, the most important is that value of the relationship that you have with your boys. So, thank you.
So important, so important. Great point, Brother Wallace.
Just continuing on what Brother Wally said, along with that relationship, we just have to be aware and we have to be cognizant of the external influences that our children are going through. When I came through, I didn't have social media when I was a little kid. I got it when I was older, but when I was a little kid, we didn't have social media. We just had TV. But you still have influences of friends. You have influences of school. You have influences of money, attention, notoriety, etc. These are the constructs that are pulling our children to do the maladaptive things that we kind of don't want them to do. There's that control element that I was talking about earlier. So we just have to be intentional and fortify that relationship moving forward, that they come to you when they have a question about something that they see bad or they see this and that. So you can continue to guide them in the right way. Just like the doctor said, that Maslow's hierarchy up. If anything that we can gather from this today, I challenge everybody to go to the computer, print it off in color, and put it on your wall and pay attention to those constructs as they go up to being self-actualized. That was so powerful how she illustrated that tenet moving forward. And I know we're short on time, so I'm gonna be quiet. But Doc, I appreciate that. I got it printed right here as soon as you said it. But I'm definitely gonna live by that. I'll bring up my grandchildren and this and that. Appreciate you, so.
Thank you. I want to also jump in, in terms of just looking at the pull of peers. We call it peer pressure. And, when I somehow, as a youngster, I didn't think it was anything great until I became older and I saw it happening with my clients and other persons around me. I'm going to give an example. So there's a youngster that I know, and he goes to an all boys school. Now, in his family, like Brother Green said, he values loving on his boy. And so in his family also values that. So there's a lot of hugging and stuff like that. In addition, this is a youngster that also goes to church. And at church, when there is time of fellowship, everybody goes around and everybody hugs everybody. This is what he's used to. This is what he values. However, at school, there was a situation where one of his very good friends got very ill and he was out of school, apparently for months. So when his friend returned, I mean, in his enthusiasm to see his friend, he went and he hugged his friend. And trust me, his peers started saying that he was a homosexual. And of course, they didn't use that word. They used the derogatory word in the Jamaican language to describe him. And so here he was now, almost at a crossroads where this is something that he values, but at the same time, because he wants to fit in with his peers at school, he is basically making a decision now that he's not going to express himself in that way anymore because he does not want to be seen in a particular light. And so a lot of times the value system in the home is great and on point. But I'm telling you that the pull out there in terms of wanting to fit in with peers is extremely strong. But as you have said, the person who spoke before me said that you have to allow them to have their questions, and when they come back to you and share that experience, you have to be able to validate them to say, hey, you did the right thing in expressing what is your true value, but also expressing to them that you really do understand that they want to also belong with their peers, and try to guide them and steer them. So that's my 2 cents.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Sophie. That's very brilliant point. And we keep having more great insight into today's presentation and conversation. Mr. Cletus, you want to make additional contribution?
Yes, my brother. Thank you very much. Well, what I just want to leave our discussion with this afternoon, this tonight, this morning, is that two things. And as I said in my presentation, knowledge is key, the truth, the absolute truth. And the word of God said that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And I believe that we need to seek the truth. Just like we have precious stones, we just not get it lying around. We need to dig, sometimes we need to refine to get that pure. So we need to seek the truth. And the truth basically will help us because we can realize how society is so dynamic. There are so many beliefs, there are so many things that influences our behavior. And sometimes we are confused. We do not know how to react. So we need to seek that truth. And the truth is in the word of God, because in the beginning was the word was with God, and God was the word. So we need to seek the truth. And the other aspect of it is love. Whatever we do, we have to do it in love. And we find that in society right now, a lot of things are being done, but it's not because of love. People have their own agenda. Sometimes they want to gain and they do certain things, and it's not pure. And the word of God, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, it says in 1 Corinthians 13:2, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, I have nothing. And in 3 it says, if I give all my possession to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I have nothing. And I'm just thinking of our brother who spoke about, his behavior. He was in connection with gangs and whatnot, and it had to take extreme measures, like, to punish him so that he could have gotten back in line. It was all because of his mother's love that he is there today. His mother never given up on him. Now, some parents may want to correct their children, you understand? And sometimes they go to the extreme measures. Sometimes they abuse their children physically, choke their children. You can see videos where parents holding children and choking them and all kind of things to the extreme. And I don't believe that's demonstrating love. It's true that you may have to exert some physical punishment to bring back your child back in line. However, it must be done with love. And with love, you will know there is a limit, that you cannot go to the extreme to make them go back in line with what you want them to do. So love is important in everything that we do. And God is love. So we need God in our life. And even this, what we are doing right now, I know that we do need love. and I believe it's gonna go very far, and it's gonna reach out to the young boys so that life can be a lot better for them. So thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Brother Austin. Well, this has been an incredible, incredible conversation. I've learned so much. I really need time to process, go over my notes, and I'm looking forward to what next Brother Ola has, how he's going to bring us together. And there's a lot of action steps that we can actually leave from this, and there's a lot of information that was given that we could implement right away, which is really great. That will definitely make a positive impact on our young men. Does anyone have any last words? And Brother Wally, please go right ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to leave one thought because a lot of what we're talking about is geared towards parents, but I want to leave one thought for kids who are watching or who might listen. I think it's so important that if you need help, to ask for that help. And it's more important that if someone offers you help, to accept the help. A lot of times, growing up as a kid, we want to be hard and we ignore everything, and we want to do everything ourselves, and sometimes, a lot of times, that's not the right answer. If someone offers you help, please take the help that they offer you. And the same token, do not be afraid to ask for help when you need it. So I just want to leave all the kids with that thought.
Thank you, brother. So much needed, so important, so found. Thank you so much. That ends our discussion for today. And this has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. Brother Ola, I'm going to give you the last words.
Wow, wow. What else do I say than to say thank you from the depth of my heart, Dr. Sophia, Wally Green, Sister MC, Brother Cletus. Oh, dear Brother Kenyatta, welcome. And let me say, Professor Wallace, Uncle Mike is the father, so most revered respecter. And Brother Ishmael, thank you so much. Jamie Lambert, we appreciate you. Olufunke Oyinlola, thank you for joining in. And Brother Richie from the Black Eyes TV, you made us proud today. Nestle Robinson, we thank you so much. And my beloved sister, Edna Waters, Dr. Edna Waters, I thank you. Dennis Williamson, I appreciate you. Robin Dean, thank you. Carol Vezina, I appreciate you. Patricia Taylor, wow. Jamie Levy, I need to connect with you. I so much appreciate the work we do with the MC. And my mentee, who is the chess guru, I think, Jonathan, are you there? Please open up the conversation. You might find brothers and sisters who can help you out because this guy is number two guru when it comes to chess player in Nigeria right now. And my brother from Nigeria who had left for another, and brother Alwin. I want to thank every one of you, and for those who have come in and those who are listening over the YouTube channels. We couldn't have done this without you. It's not possible. And I promise you, like I said, leave your notes and your contact information. So when we draw the synopsis for today's event, we can send them to you so you can become great resource for you to refer to all of the time. It will take me more than a month to digest what is in here because they are well loaded. Every month we meet on different topics as relates to boys development. Boys Future, Boys Challenge is a discourse that really bring together great minds from across the globe to look at this issue from different culture, different background, and different professional experience. So with that being said, we are open to collaboration, partnership, support, so that we can continue to do the work we do here. Brother Wally Green, may I please ask for a special request? Would that be honored? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
to speak because of your experience, your connection to Africa, may I have the honor of this house to establish the Wally Green Tennis Club for young males here in Nigeria, so that this competition will be towards your presentation today, and it will be an annual competition when you can come and see young boys taking the same tour, and you're becoming a real model, not only a role model. So we can have more of Wally Green in Africa and in the world. Sir,
I like that idea.
you like that? So we can set up a project. This is going to be Wally Green project, and this will go into your legacy with BMAN. So our organization will go to package this in such a way that to become your brand in the BMAN organization.
Love it. Love it.
Thank
Anything
you so
for
much.
the kids.
Thank you so much. So we will be getting in touch with you on that. Brother Cletus, as a police officer, we see need more of you about we still want to look at boys and some discipline, from the police point of view in the future. So with that being said, please leave your notes and leave your contact details. If you want to support BMAN and you need a way to help us fundraise for our project, currently we are sourcing funds for a generator for the literacy class. And two, also we are looking for a table tennis court, foldable table tennis court for our young boys who start the table tennis in the school where we live at the center so that I can engage them. And brother Caesar MC, hey, we're bringing you to Nigeria so that we can have the body percussion classes maybe once a year across the Beaman network. And we would like to work with you on that. Besides,
So
with that being said, I would love, brother, because you have just 4 minutes to go, Sister MC, to have 2 minutes of just walking us up in the dance movement, and that will just take it to Uncle Mike and he wrap up this for us and we say goodbye. So, Sister MC, let's have you.